Warhammer 40k Space Marine Master Crafted Edition. Released June of 2025. Available on Xbox and PC platforms, retailing for $39.99. This is a remaster of Warhammer 40k Space Marine, which originally released back in 2011. This version now supports 4K resolutions, has improved the textures on everything, supposedly improved the character models, though I personally can't tell much of a difference, and modernized the UI and control scheme, which is actually the biggest improvement here, with one key exception. When you select weapons, you do it with the left stick instead of the right stick. I could not quite adjust to this, and I was frustrated by it every single time I wanted to change my weapon. Other than that, this is still the same game you played back in 2011. You are a Space Marine of the Ultramarine chapter, Captain Titus. And despite being an Ultramarine captain, he seems wildly liberal about actually enforcing the codexes that govern every aspect of a Space Marine's life. Sometimes he will be fighting alone, sometimes he will have a small squad with him. At the beginning of the game, you are fighting orcs. The orcs have attacked a Forge world because they want to get their hands on some Imperial Titans. And needless to say, we can't let that happen. While dealing with the orcs, you find a lone Inquisitor. And looking at this character, I'm sure you can't possibly guess the twist that's coming. Yeah, it turns out he gave himself over to chaos. I know you could never predict that based purely on the way his character model looks. So around the midway point, we do less fighting of the orcs and more fighting of chaos and demons, which is pretty par for the course in terms of being a Warhammer 40k game. And truthfully, the gameplay here isn't all that bad. It's aged fairly well, and you have a fairly interesting selection of weapons, although some are simply better than others. If you can get your hands on a Thunderhammer, keep it as long as the game will let you. Yes, it does restrict what range weapons you can use in tandem with it. It's a totally worthwhile trade-off, trust me. Much like back in 2011, this new remastered version is still a very short affair, clocking it at only 8 to 10 hours, and still manages to get repetitive in that short time, as it doesn't matter if you're fighting orcs or fighting chaos, it still plays exactly the same. And the best sections of the game where you get to use a jump pack are few and far between, and fairly brief when they happen. So is Warhammer 40k Space Marine Master Crafted Edition worth your time and money? At its current price of $40, absolutely not. The graphical improvements are fairly minor, and the control scheme changes are kind of a matter of taste more than anything. Nothing has been done to actually improve the game that released back in 2011. It's basically just a Gears of War game with a Warhammer skin, and that gameplay was already stale back in 2011. Coming back a decade and a half later has done nothing to make it feel fresh. Honestly, this kind of remaster should be much cheaper than $40. Really, a $20 price point is about where something like this should be. And if you already owned the PC version of this, you could have done all of these changes yourself with mods. It's also a little strange that this is only available on Xbox and PC at the moment. I can't find any information about this coming to PlayStation 5 or Switch 2 at the moment, and it's possible it simply won't be. So when it comes to this remastering of Space Marine, you can definitely skip it. Even a die-hard Warhammer 40k fan won't get much out of this. Please do subscribe, comment, like, and tell your friends.